Dear students, welcome back. We were discussing about radionuclides, radio pharmaceutical preparations, and in the last two classes, we discussed about various basics about radiopharmaceuticals. And previous class, we were discussing about production of radionuclide. Actually, radiopharmaceutical have two components in this. One part is radionuclide, and another component is non-radioactive pharmaceutical formulation. So both will be mixed together to make a radioactive formulation. So first we are discussing about production of radionuclide part, how to generate. So we were discussed about cyclotron. Uh, in that, how the particles were bombarded by um, particles generated in the cyclotron. For example, this is the cyclotron, and in that the particles were bombarded and the products were obtained. Here, the particles were bombarded by charged particles, and here in the another production method we have discussed about neutron bombardment. Here, non-charged particles like neutrons were used to bombard and produce daughter radioactive nuclides. So like that also we can make pharmaceutically useful radioactive nuclides. Like that, another method, simplest method used in pharmaceutical preparations to produce radioactive nuclides are generators. By using generators, we can make. In this, the basic principle is a long-lived parent radionuclide is allowed to decay on its short-lived daughter radionuclide, and the later is chemically separated in a physiological solution. Here, we don't induce any nuclear fission or nuclear fusion or any bombardment, anything we don't do. Here, the radioactive nuclide will be taken in a sealed chamber and it will be allowed to decay as its own decaying process. By slowly emitting radiations, it may undergo decay. So that decayed product, by decay, the daughter molecules are produced. No, that is pharmaceutically useful. So that may be a short-lived daughter nucleides. That means for a shorter duration, there may emit radiations. Afterwards, they become totally inactive. So that such components are actually preferred in treatment purposes or for diagnostic purposes. If they are administered for a shorter duration, for a known period, it will be active. Afterwards, it will be excreted, or they themselves become inactive. So such safest radioactive nucleides are produced by this method. For example, technetium-99 is produced by this method by obtaining a generator constructed of molybdenum-99 adsorbed on an alumina column. An aluminum hydroxide, aluminum silicate made coated on a glass surface. In that, the molybdenum is having more affinity, so it will be adsorbed over that, and it will be allowed to decay as its own, and slowly it will produce daughter short-living radioactive nucleides like technetium. This technetium only we want. Actually, this molybdenum how to make, that is can be made by cyclotron previous procedure. So that product can be used further for making technetium-99. A slow decaying parent radionuclide is adsorbed onto the surface such as alumina in a sterile glass column encased in a lead or depleted uranium shield. Normally we use in chromatographic procedures an alumina coated on a surface of glass. The same procedure is used here. Here, this parent radionuclide decays into the short-lived radionuclide that will be used for the nuclear imaging, the daughter radionuclide. We want only the daughter radionuclide. The daughter radionuclide is removed by passing an eluting solvent. So on the glass surface, alumina will be present. On the alumina, molybdenum will be coated, and molybdenum will be in permanently adhered state. It never come out. but it slowly undergo decay and converted into another product called technetium. Technetium is having very poor affinity on alumina surface. If any liquid like normal saline is passed through this glass column, the because of poor affinity, the formed the decayed product technetium will be eluted out and it will be washed out with the flowing sterile uh, saline solution. So it will be collected, but that will be filtered and it will be collected. We should know how much strength of product we are getting every time. If you know that, we can alter the dose, everything. Like that, this technique is working. The resulting solution is collected into a vial, which collects the daughter solvent in a vacuum action. So like that, we can derive from that, from the generator. The method of producing radionuclide is useful when using a short-lived radionuclide, as it needs to be produced near the patient. So where it is required, there we can bring the generator and we can produce it, and we can prepare the formulation at the spot and we can use it. So carrying, transferring may cause some radioactive hazard in the hospital. That can be avoided. In the patient's room itself, it can be produced. So that was simplest procedure. This is the schematic diagram that explains how radio generator are functioning. Here, this is the eluting solvent. This is the inlet. Through that, and the normal saline solution will be administered inside. And this is the uh, lead chamber in which at the center a glass surface on which the alumina is kept. Alumina is just a absorbing agent that absorbs molybdenum. Here only the molybdenum will be present. That is the parent nucleide, and it is kept while keeping it here. It may undergo slow decay. Because of that, technetium will be formed and it will be present here only. How to take it out, bring it out, that formed technetium from this closed chamber is by passing through this eluting solution solvent through this. When the solvent is passing through this column, because of poor affinity on the alumina surface, the technetiums are washed out and it will be slowly come out. We can use vacuum to derive uh, this technetium. So with the technetium, this eluting solvent will come out and it will be collected here. This is the eluted daughter activity in collecting vial. So this is the way generator is functioning. Prior to shipping the generator to the production unit, we can do this wherever we want. So there only the generator will be shifted. A molybdenum 99 sodium molybdate in the form of sodium molybdate is immobilized on a column of alumina due to its very high affinity for alumina. So before shifting the generator, we have to load this sodium molybdate. It is a radioactive compound, so it should be carefully kept inside and sealed. The elutant, that is 0.9% normal saline solution, because it is an injectable formulation. So we are using this that transitive compatible isotonic solution is passed through a column and sodium pertechnetate will be formed. That is the daughter compound. Molybdenum 99 undergo decay and it forms 99 technetium. Is eluted from the column due to its almost total lack of affinity for alumina. So that is the reason it comes out. Otherwise, it won't come out. The pertechnetate is collected in a shielded, evacuated, sterile vial and calibrated prior to use. It is referred to as the elutate. Quantitative removal of pertechnetate is attributed to the lack of affinity of pertechnetate for alumina. So like that, we can calculate how much might have eluted out. So this is the actual picture of the generator, how it will be. This is the one. In this, molybdenum will be present, technetium daughter molecules are generated. Okay. Then generator produce radionuclides. Examples: technetium-99 we have seen, the most commonly used radioactive isotope, is produced in this way from the longer lived molybdenum-99. So one thing we should note, that in this process, whatever radioactive nuclide we are preparing, that are all short-lived radioactive nuclides. Only for a shorter duration, known duration, it will be in an active radioactive form. Afterwards, it become inactive. Another radioisotope produced by this method is krypton 81. Krypton 81 is also pharmaceutically useful. It is used in lung ventilation studies. We are using an parent compound, parent radionuclide rubidium 81 is produced by cyclotron. From the cyclotron, we are loading into this generator. It is adsorbed onto the zirconium phosphate. Here we are not using alumina, because it is showing high affinity on zirconium phosphate that will be coated on and glass surface. It decays into krypton 81 by electron capture and beta decay. It will emit beta radiation and it will forms a daughter compound. And krypton 81 is then extracted from the column by blowing air through it. We are not passing normal saline into this. We are passing air and we are collecting it back. So this is the procedure. Here it is obtained in the powder form. This is the schematic diagram how it functions. This is inlet in which 0.9% sodium chloride is there. That is passed through this column containing an adsorbent. In this, the parent radioactive nuclide will be there, that will decay into a daughter radioactive nuclide. It will be ready for eluting out, and because of the flow of this liquid with the vacuum pressure, it will be coming out through this, and it will be collected in this lead chamber. Here we can adjust the dose, strength, and we can make it into a suitable formulation. We can inject into the patient readily. Preparation of radiopharmaceuticals. Whatever we have seen in the previous section is preparation of radioactive nucleides. Here we are discussing about preparation of radiopharmaceuticals. Radiopharmaceuticals are, we are going to add a pharmaceutical component with this radioactive nuclide. So the radioactive formulations become radio labeled. Sorry, the pharmaceutical preparations will become radio labeled. Um, it is normally a simple process by adding a radioactive liquid to a commercially available reagent kit. Just by mixing, we can make it. It is a simple procedure. Sometimes it may be a complex one. The creation of a multi-component reagent kit of a radioactive pharmaceutical preparation also there. For example, means a sterile and a pyrogen-free reaction vial containing the non-radioactive chemicals, containing complexing agents, reducing agents, stabilizers, dispersing agents. Whatever pharmaceutical aids required to make an injectable formulation, everything will be present in the sterile solution form. And with that, we will add in a proper proportion this radioactive component, produce a specific radiopharmaceutical after reaction with the radioactive component. So like this we make. Or the synthesis of radio-labeled compound via a multi-step preparation process, that is also there. The process of compounding radiopharmaceuticals must be under the supervision of recognized nuclear physician or a radiopharmacist who trained in handling of radioactive pharmaceuticals. Such pharmacists always should be present while making on the spot, making a radioactive compound by chemical synthesis and then making it readily available as a formulation. Then next step in the formulation is, most of the formulations are injectable, so it should be a sterile preparation. Radioactive pharmaceuticals are sterilized by normal sterilization procedures. We can apply autoclaving if they are thermostable. If they are thermolabile, we can go for filtration method of sterilization. Stability of the compound, also we should know about stability. All extemporaneous compounds parenteral radiopharmaceutical preparation should be used not more than 24 hours post compounding process unless data are available to support longer storage. After producing the preparation, formulating the preparation within 24 hours, it should be used. Because most of the preparations are stable only for 24 hours. Or if you know that it may stay with a normal radioactive strength for more than 1 day, then can be stored. Radiation shielding, it is very important for protecting ourselves from the radiations. So while handling the preparations, proper shielding should be used. Adequate shielding must be used to protect laboratory personnel from ionizing radiations. So the personnel who involved in dose strength dilutions, administering and handling the patients, those who are near to the patients, and those who are involving in the production of radioactive pharmaceuticals should have all protective measures. So there are many shielding equipments are available in these regions. For example, Protect to syringe shield. While administering the injectable formulations, this syringe shield can be used. That will protect from radioactive hazards. Like that, PET syringe shield in the positron emission tomography scanning procedures, syringe shield will be like this. And Protect V syringe shield, this will be like this. Color coded vial shields. So vial will be kept inside the shield, so that color codings will give identification purpose. We can use that. Vial shield, this is a vial shield. This is unit dose PIC, high density lead glass vial shield. This is sharp container shields. There are various containers or shields made to protect radioactive hazards, helpful for people those who are handling these formulations. Then radiopharmaceuticals quality control. What are the quality controls we normally do? Visual inspection of the product. We do visual inspection for the presence of any foreign matters in the formulation, because they are injectable preparations. And if it is a liquid solution, a colloid or a suspension, if it is a solid, has definite properties, and that will be identified. So that all normal quality control procedures will be applicable for these radioactive pharmaceuticals also. Assessment of radioactivity is one quality control parameter, and the amount of radioactivity in each compound in the radio pharmaceutical should be verified and documented prior to dispensing using a proper standardized radionuclide dose calibrator. Using this device, we have to measure the strength of radiation emitted, and that should be documented. Radionuclide purity. Radionuclide purity can be determined with the use of a suitable counting device. And we using this counting device, how much radiation is emitted, radioactive nuclide is present, how many days or how many hours it may be in the active form. So that can be counted and calculated. The gamma ray spectrum, that should be significantly different from that of a standardized, that should not be significantly different from that of a standardized solution of the radionuclide. We will have a standard radio gamma ray spectrum for radioactive nuclides. So when after producing, if you take the gamma ray spectrum for the product, it should be exactly matched with the standard one. Radiochemical purity. Radiochemical purity is assessed by a variety of analytical techniques like liquid chromatography, paper chromatography, thin layer chromatography, electrophoresis. By using that, their percentage purity can be calculated. And then the pH of the product, that then standard pH will be there, that should be measured and calculated. Is a normal procedure how we do for Panther preparations. Microbiological control, sterility test, it is normally we do for Panther preparation, same thing is applicable here also. And then how to label the product. The label of the outer package should include a statement that the product is radioactive and or the international symbol of radioactivity. This symbol should be there on the label. So that indicates that this is a radioactive isotope containing product. The name of the radiopharmaceutical preparation should be clearly written in the label, and the preparation is for diagnostic purpose or for the therapeutic purpose, that should be mentioned. and which route it should be administered, that should be mentioned. The total radioactivity present, for example, in millibecquerel per ml of the solution, that should be mentioned in the label. And the label also should contain expiry date, batch number, and the solution total volume, and any special storage requirements with respect to temperature and light if anything required, the name and concentration of any added microbial preservatives, that all will be mentioned in the label. Okay, now we see what are the advantages of using radiopharmaceuticals in the healthcare system. It can be used as a diagnostic and treatment purpose. It can provide fast onset of pain relief. So cancer patients may get quick pain relief. So for that we can use. There is no other. If there is no other treatment procedures are available, then we can go for radioactive therapy. It is common to cure cancer, can treat multiple disease sites, widely available mode of treatment, directly treats tumor, especially useful for bone metastasis, bone cancer, and single dose is effective for some patients. One dose is enough, no need of multiple therapy. Nuclear medicine tests can be performed on children also. Nuclear medicine procedures have no side effects and are completely safe. These are advantages. Disadvantages also, there are many disadvantages. When multiple fractions are given, it may produce prolonged inconvenience and discomfort for patients. So that is there. Mostly we prefer one dose only. Higher doses of head and neck radiation can be associated with cardiovascular complications, thyroid dysfunction, pituitary axis dysfunction. These are possible. So nuclear medicine tests are not recommended for pregnant women because unborn babies have a greater sensitivity to radiation than children or adults. Filling in patients' teeth, dental braces, and permanent bridges may cause some distortion around the mouth area, can produce some allergic reactions on some patients. It has a radiation hazard, and myelosuppression, bone marrow activity is decreased, that may result in fever red blood cells count will be reduced, or white blood cells count will be reduced, platelet count will be reduced. These are some disadvantages. And applications of radiopharmaceuticals in the pharmaceutical field, how they are useful. For the treatment purpose, for the diagnostic purpose, two ways we are applying this radioactive pharmaceuticals. First, we see treatment purpose, how they are useful. Treatment of diseases, radioactive pharmaceuticals we are using. Mainly we are using for cancer therapy. They are radio labeled molecules designed to deliver therapeutic dose of ionizing radiation to specific disease site. So the radiation is used for the as a therapy. Chromium phosphate P32 for lung, ovarian, uterine, and prostate cancers. We are using chromium phosphate, phosphorus 32 labeled compounds are used in prostate cancers, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer. Sodium iodide I-131 labeled radioactive nucleides are used for thyroid cancer. Samarium SM-153 is used for cancerous bone tissues treatment, and for sodium phosphate P32 is used for cancerous bone tissues and other type of cancers, and strontium chloride SR89 for cancerous bone tissues. For their treatment purpose we are using this. And similarly the same iodine 131 in the form of sodium iodide for the treatment of thyroid diseases like hyperthyroidism, like called as Graves disease, and toxic nodular goiter, and the enlarged um, thyroid gland, that can also be treated by this procedure. And P32 as soluble sodium phosphate in the form of soluble sodium phosphate labeled with P32 radioactive nuclide for the treatment of polycythemia vera. It is a blood type of a blood cancer it causes bone marrow to make too many red blood cells. For that, this is a treatment. Like that, phosphorus 32, strontium 89, and rhenium 186, samarium 153 for palliation of pain from bony metastasis. That means bone cancer. In that, severe pain will be there. For their relieving of pain, we are using this procedure. Strontium 89, a soluble form of strontium chloride for palliation of pain in patients with metastasis breast or prostate cancer. For that, to relieve the pain, we are using this. And as a aid in the diagnosis of treatment, diagnostic aid also, we are using radioactive nuclides. The radiopharmaceuticals accumulated in an organ of interest emit gamma radiation, which are produced for imaging of the organ with the help of an external imaging device called gamma camera. We have seen this in the beginning when we are discussing about gamma radiation. Only gamma emitting radioactive nuclides are used for diagnostic purposes because that can only be photographed. Particulate emitting radionuclides cannot be photographed. So we are using gamma radiating radioactive nuclides for this purpose. Radiopharmaceuticals used in tracer techniques for measuring physiological parameters. For example, glomerular filtration rate we can measure by using chromium 51 labeled EDTA. Like that, radioactive pharmaceuticals for diagnostic imaging. For example, technetium labeled methylene diphosphonate MDP used in scanning. Bone scanning we are using. Like that, for imaging the brain, photographing the brain, we are using radioactive nuclides that are used in photon emission, that is PET scanning, positron emission tomography, and like that single photon emission computer tomography, SPECT scanning procedures. In that, we are using this. For example, in SPECT scanning and PET scanning, the radioactive pharmaceuticals are classified according to blood-brain barrier permeability. So, if they are able to cross this blood-brain barrier, that can be used here. The example of such radioactive components are technetium 99, DTPA, titanium 201, gallium 67 are excluded by normal brain cells and are enter into tumor cells because of altered blood-brain barrier. That can be viewed externally by using this detectors used in these scanners. Then intracavitary therapy. Sometimes tumors will not have proper vasculature, blood circulation. So because of that, concentrating the radioactive nuclides into the tumor is very difficult. For that, we are using cavitary therapy, intracavitary. We will administer this radioactive nuclides directly into the cavities. For example, peritoneal cavity, pleural cavity, pericardial cavity. Through this, we administer colloidal gold 198, most widely used agent, but the radionuclides emits unwanted gamma radiation. So nowadays we are not using gold 198. Instead of that, we are using phosphorus 32, yttrium 90 radioactive colloids for this purpose. Like that, we can image cardiovascular functions. Heart can be uh, photographed and viewed. Radiopharmaceuticals are useful in cardiac imaging as agent that provides information of regional myocardial blood perfusion administered to provide information at peak cardiac output, how it is taking place. So the patients will be allowed to undergo treadmill and then it will be injected. Dipridamole injections will be administered. An injection of thallium chloride or technetium 99. That is a radio labeled compound will be present in that injection. So using that, we can image the heart functions. Like that, we can image lungs by using radioactive technetium 99. Like that, we can imaging the renal functions by using technetium 99, iodine 131. These are the various applications of radioactive pharmaceuticals. Um, With this, we are completing this chapter. And if any doubt, you can post your doubt through Google Classroom platform. It is most welcome. Thank you for listening.